Stevie. Welcome to A Fresh Take. Today we're going to redo red velvet cake. Red velvet cake. It's red. It's usually got red food coloring in it. We're going to make a red velvet cake today that's all natural, doesn't have any artificial dyes. It's still going to be red. And we're going to make a red wine red velvet cake. I have some wine from my friend Sylvia with Wine Shop at Home. So we're going to use that instead of the buttermilk that you usually do in a red velvet cake. So first what we're going to do is you need to have room temperature butter. You can do this in a bowl with a little hand mixer like I'm doing. You can use a stand mixer. And we're going to add some brown sugar and some white sugar. Yes, I'm using sugar, but I'm using less sugar. And we're going to eat this in moderation. And did you know that you can cut the sugar in any baking recipe by 1/4 of the total amount and it won't change the texture of your recipe? So try doing that, and chances are it's still going to be very sweet dessert and you don't need all of that sugar. So then we're going to cream this together. Then you want to have your dry ingredients all mixed together ahead of time. And in here I have, I'm using gluten-free flour. You could also use, you could just use brown rice flour, oat flour, almond flour, or coconut flour if you want. Or if gluten's not a problem for you, you could use regular flour. And then I have cocoa powder, baking soda, some cinnamon, and some salt. And then I have my liquid ingredients together. And I have red wine. Like I said, I usually use buttermilk in a red velvet cake, and I'm going to use the red wine instead for my liquid. You could do half and half. You could make this recipe with the buttermilk if you didn't want to do the wine, or if you don't want the alcohol but you'd like that red wine, they do make a non-alcoholic red wine. You could use any of those things. If you don't want to use buttermilk but you want the milk, you could use like an almond milk or coconut milk and just a little bit of apple cider vinegar, and it gives it that buttermilk kind of wang. Be careful with the beets that I have in here. They're pureed beets because if you're not careful, your kitchen will look like a murder scene. And then I have some vanilla in here also. So I'm going to alternate my dry ingredients and my wet ingredients, ending with the dry. Should give your bowl a scrape every now and then. Once you have it mixed up well, you have your cake batter. You're going to put it into your cake pan. Make sure that you oil the cake pan. You can use coconut oil, and then you want to do the little parchment paper circle so that you can get the cake out of the pan. And then you'll just put your batter into your pan, or pans if you want to make a multi-layer cake. Just spread it out. And then you're going to bake it in a 350-degree oven. And the time is going to vary depending on what size pan you're using. So when you take it out of the oven, make sure it cools completely, about 10 minutes in the pan, and then take it out and then let it cool the rest of the way. I made a small one here, so I'm going to go ahead and put icing on it. And usually you put a cream cheese icing on your red velvet cake, so I made a red wine cream cheese icing. Again, I used that red wine that I got from my friend Sylvia with Wine Shop at Home. If you haven't heard of them, Wine Shop at Home's a Napa winery and producer of artisan small batch wines. Sylvia does in-home wine tasting, so you can try it before you buy it. And they also have a monthly wine club and gift baskets. So her information will be on the screen if you want to check her out, try out some different wines and use them in some recipes, or just drink them. So in this frosting, I have, this recipe will be with the cake recipe on the website. I have some low-fat cream cheese, the red wine, some powdered sugar, and I used some plain Greek yogurt, so that I got that other little buttermilky kind of twang that you're supposed to have in a red velvet cake, and a little bit of vanilla. And I made it kind of thin because I'm gonna, let it drip down the sides and use it like a little glaze. If you do that, you can use a lot less of the powdered sugar. The powdered sugar is what makes icing stiff, so if you just use a little bit, and you get a nice glaze. And so I'm just gonna take my pink icing from the red wine and put it on my cake, and then put the other layer on, and put a little bit more icing. Red wine, red velvet cake. It's got my two favorite food groups, red wine and chocolate. So if you want this recipe, go to my website, chefstevie.com, and don't forget to check out my friend Sylvia and get you some wine so that you can bake with it, drink it, and check out this recipe and more at chefstevie.com. I'm Chef Stevie with the Fresh Take.